Gus Grissom hung a lemon on the Apollo capsule to protest its flaws, and days later, burned alive. Welcome back to the Bookish Breakdown. Was the Pad 34 fire a tragic accident, or the calculated elimination of a man who refused to play along with a multi-billion-dollar lie? Today, we are exploring the theories and research compiled in Bart Sipral's book, Moon Man. Framing this disaster as a simple electrical short ignores the massive geopolitical stakes and the desperate pressure of the Cold War space race. In the late 1960s, America was racing against a deadline set by President John F. Kennedy: put a man on the moon by the end of the decade. Insider accounts suggest high-ranking officials knew 1960s technology couldn't meet that goal. The theory is that they decided to stage the missions to save face, while secretly funneling the space program's billions into unsanctioned military projects. This plan had one massive obstacle standing in the way: Commander Gus Grissom. Grissom was an all-American hero who endeared himself to the public with his blunt honesty. After his Mercury flight, he admitted to the press that he had been afraid, an admission that only made the public love him more. But that same unwavering honesty made him a liability to an institution attempting a cover-up. A man who wouldn't stick to the script was a threat to the entire operation. Grissom's frustration escalated as his warnings were ignored. He eventually bypassed management to file reports directly to generals, outlining over 500 specific critical flaws that were never addressed. He realized the program was dangerously behind schedule, privately telling his wife Betty that NASA was actually 10 years away from a moon landing, not 2. He brazenly hung a lemon on the spacecraft hatch, secretly inviting reporters to photograph his protest for national television. Proponents of the sabotage theory argue that when high-ranking officials saw this public disrespect for the chain of command, the decision was made to eliminate the program's leading critic. Under this theory, Grissom's crewmates, Ed White and Roger Chaffee, were included in the tragedy to ensure the event appeared as a shared failure of hardware, rather than a targeted hit on a single astronaut. By inviting the press to document his protest, Grissom had escalated a safety dispute into a direct threat against the space program's public image. On the day of the fire, the crew couldn't get a wired intercom to work. Grissom's final transmission captured the absurdity. How are we going to get to the moon when we can't talk between 2 buildings? Moments later, the capsule ignited. Investigation revealed a rare anomaly. The capsule door had been changed to open inwardly. Because of the fire's pressure buildup, the astronauts were physically unable to open it, especially after an anonymous superior ordered it locked right before the test. Further forensic evidence pointed to foul play. Investigators found rags soaked in flammable liquid placed directly beneath Gus Grissom's seat. This accelerant, combined with a recorded electrical power dip just before ignition, aligns with Betty Grissom's claim that CIA agents were given unusual access to the pad the previous day. A trapped door, planted flammable rags, and an unexplainable power surge create a dark set of circumstances that the official narrative of a random electrical short struggles to reconcile. The actions following the fire were immediate. CIA agents allegedly arrived at Betty Grissom's home before she had even been officially notified that her husband had died. These agents confiscated a highly critical, extensive report about the Apollo program that Gus was drafting for his United States senator. Soon after, NASA and the CIA attempted to destroy the remaining forensic evidence by secretly burying the burned Apollo 1 capsule at sea. It took a formal court injunction, filed by Betty and her son, to stop the government from sinking the capsule and its evidence. The rush to seize personal documents from a widow and the attempt to dump a crime scene in the ocean are actions consistent with a high-level cover-up. Another man, NASA Inspector Thomas Barron, also documented the impossible timeline and safety deviations in a massive 500-page report, which led to his termination. Days before Barron was scheduled to testify before Congress about his findings, he died in a suspicious fatal accident. Following his death, Barron's critical 500-page report mysteriously vanished from the National Archives, never to be seen again. The inward opening hatch, the soaked rags, the confiscated documents, and the deaths of 2 key whistleblowers frame the Apollo 1 tragedy not as a simple accident, but as the price paid by patriots who demanded excellence. If this look at Pad 34 challenged what you know about history, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the Bookish Breakdown for more investigations. Keep reading and stay curious.